Catholicism's the best.
Number one, though?
Obviously. Who else is in contention here?
Muslims? Jews?
Solid claim.
You think Catholics number one?
I mean, yeah.
Okay, why?
We did it, dude. Look at the Vatican. We did it.
Yeah.
Invented the Western
You hate
world.
Invented the Western
That's
world.
number one. Number one.
Catholicism, number one.
I mean, kids, Magellan's a lot cooler than Justin Bieber.
Latin Mass by day, TradTards podcast by night, all day.
Are you homosexual, your eminence? Those Novus Ordo priests, they do communion in the hand. You can't do that. It's disgusting.
So long as we bear innocently that divine image in the face of the evil of the world, we shall never perish. Why, we have already won!
Welcome back to another primetime episode of the Puffs with Peter podcast. Don't know what number episode this will be. Probably it'll still be under number 10. But yeah, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming on. Always appreciate having interesting guests and having interesting conversations. So yeah.
Yeah, sure thing, man. I'm excited to speak with you. It'll be a good time.
If you wanted, I'm curious as to what your faith background is. You told me a little bit prior to us starting, but I always like having someone kind of explain their background first.
Yeah, sure thing. So I went to a classical Christian school, so heavily versed in the Western canon. Obviously, a lot of those schools are heavily Catholic. Mm-hmm. I'm not Protestant. I grew up, my parents were not super religious. I mean, we went to church. I was largely raised by my grandparents for a couple years, and my grandparents are what I affectionately refer to as holy rollers, right? Big evangelical church. I was actually just talking to one of the other guys here about an incident that happened. I was at an after church program, and they were like, "Oh, kids, it's the mid 2000s. What are we afraid of? Muslims,
Yeah.
right? What do Muslims do? Kill Christians.
Mm-hmm.
So what are we gonna do to a room full of fourth graders? Just show them videos of Christians being martyred in Africa." So it was a bit of a mixed experience.
I thought they were going to put on Team America and be like, have fun.
I wish. No, they're like, they're dying
Yeah.
right now, and it's happening to you.
This will be you.
And I'm like, I don't know what a Muslim is, but I'm terrified. But no, in all seriousness, so a lot of my experience with religion was primarily at school. So kind of heavily invested in the Western canon.
Yeah.
So it was really a genuine opportunity. But the church I go to is a conservative Protestant church. It's where I met my wife, where
Nice.
I have kind of a deep community there. I have friends at kind of, all of the, the major religious institutions in the U.S. Obviously, one of my recurring co-hosts is Orthodox. Mm-hmm. Many of my guests are Catholic. And so I have an outsider's perspective. I, don't claim to understand it, but I see what goes on within these spheres, and you can't be on the internet, right, without knowing a few Catholics, right?
Exactly. Yeah, we're unfortunately everywhere, maybe.
Yeah, ubiquitous, right?
Yeah.
Can't get away from you.
Too
people.
many of us are just even with our horrible practice. I mean, so many like 80%. I think the current number is like 80% of Catholics are fine. Like even though it's completely like material heresy, are just completely fine with using like birth control. Yeah, I think that's the current understanding. And I mean, I'm an only child, and I was a cradle.
Well, I think that despite being Protestant, I might be more Catholic than most Catholics because I don't believe in birth control.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, any faithful Catholic who at least, because obviously being a formal heretic means you have to know, right, that it's wrong, and then you still choose it anyway. Mm-hmm. Material heresy is like, it's pretty minor.
Just incidental.
Yeah, it just means that you're like ignorant, right? Which isn't this. I mean, obviously you should know, but it's not like, it's not the worst thing ever because it should, like, obviously you need to like have not full knowledge that you're committing such a sin.
Right, for it to be it's kind of severe.
Yeah, to be like mortal. So, but that's the thing, right? When you see 80%, like you gotta think like some of those people definitely fucking know. They're just like, yeah, I know the church is teaching, but actually.
Well, and I think that that's an interesting point, right? Because one of the things I always think about is like how many of these decisions are truly like rational, in the sense that like you're kind of given this premise that everyone is an atomized individual who makes rational choices about everything in their life. I think that's very clearly not true because I mean, look at look at birth control, right? Like,
Mhm.
is that an active decision where someone is weighing pros and cons, or is it personally convenient? So I will warp my reason around it,
Yeah.
right? You
Yeah,
know, like what's in the driver's
I
seat?
think it's all like most. At the end of the day, like this, like pride is the root of all evil or sin, right? At least the idea that like I know better than God,
Yeah,
right? And in the moment, a lot of people are like, "Oh yeah, like I gotta fuck, I gotta put that fucking condom on, man. Like I don't want no kids. They're not thinking
can,
like
can that be the pull quote, the description?
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
It just says, "quote I gotta fuck."
that's gonna be the episode title. TradTards.
I gotta fuck.
The
with J.Burden.
TradTards. I gotta fuck, featuring J.Burden. But but it probably boils down there, right? It's like, yeah, like, all right, someone went to Catholic school, K through 12, and they're just like, oh man, dude, like, oh man, I don't want to be no baby daddy. Like, I gotta fuck, like,
Yeah. Well, and that's sort of an interesting. It's sort of an interesting situation, right? Because like,
and full disclosure, I don't think that, right? I'm a fucking virgin, completely full disclosure. Very happy about that personally, but I understand it. You know, everyone's at a different place. Like, you know,
see, I'm doubly committed. I am married and I've never had sex.
damn.
Yeah. She will not take it.
First time learning that you're a Quaker. This is crazy.
Yeah.
Wow,
I will
first
actually say-
first Quaker guest on TradTards.
I'm not a Quaker. I have some distant family who are Quakers.
Okay, good oatmeal.
Quakers, scum of the earth. The worst libtards on the planet.
Ben Franklin was a Quaker.
I would
A
travel
Quaker. I
back
said a
in time,
Quaker.
not to kill baby Hitler, to kill baby Ben Franklin.
Maybe Ben Franklin. What's funny is he did fuck.
Yeah, a lot.
Yeah, dude was getting mad puss.
Yeah.
Crazy.
They were
French
probably
puss.
Catholic too. They were
Oh
French.
yeah, French.
Yeah.
What? All right. Here's the thing about France is like they're the extremes.
Yeah.
They're either extreme trad or just like extreme libertine.
Mhm.
Right? Like I mean, the fucking French Revolution obviously is a great example of that, and I guess the Vendée is the response. But yeah, the French. Gosh, like the epitome of cringe and based.
Yeah, kind of perfectly synthesized.
Yeah.
Well, it's like, and this goes back.
And then
to
Napoleon was like the complete Hegelian like synthesis.
Yeah.
Napoleon's like, all right, I gotta be the world spirit. I gotta get on that horse.
We're gonna fuck.
Yeah,
But
we're gonna fuck, but Napoleonic code.
well, this is actually an interesting point, right? Because one of my favorite authors is de Maistre, right? Who is possibly the most French and the most Catholic man possible.
Yeah.
You know, and it's interesting the way that he talks about the pre-revolution France as sort of the pinnacle of Western civilization as the perfect union between church and state. And, you know, if we're talking about these kind of grand myths of liberalism, right, the thing we're kind of tilting against, right, one of the most interesting ones is like, well, do we want a separation of church and state, or even is that possible, right? Because I think the situation we're currently in is, well, of course, we have a formalized distinction between religious leaders and political leaders.
Yep.
But at the same time, religion has been displaced by politics. And so it's like, well, yeah, sure, technically, you know, no priest is allowed to, you know, tell you who to vote for.
Yeah.
But also, our political leaders are basically making religious claims. Right?
Yeah, I think it's always dumb. I mean, like, anything regarding worldview is inherently political, and religion is like the penultimate, like, influence of, I mean, if you actually give a shit about it, right, like, is the penultimate influence of one's worldview and is inherently political.
Well, and again, right, like, the whole concept of authority ultimately is derived from God, right? Like, there's, and, you know, the phrase, the chain of being, has been kind of turned into a complete cliche, but there's something to that in the sense that, like, okay, let's just take, like, the feudal model, right? Like, you are, as a man, the king of your house.
Yep. And
you owe fealty to a higher authority, which is your lord, who owes a higher authority to his king, who ultimately owes authority to God.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that is a clear pyramid or a hierarchy of loves, right? To kind of paraphrase Augustine there. And it is weird to say, well, my highest priority is God, but it's incongruous, right?
Yeah. One thing, I heard a homily from an African priest. Based African priest. Wow. Yeah, that's a huge meme too. But it actually made me think. It was the reading that day was, you know, the whole render unto Caesar what is Caesar, unto God what is God. And he was like, look, he's like, yeah, render to Caesar what is Caesar, but you know what God owns? You know what God gave you that you don't actually like have, I guess, your right to? And like in a sense, like you have control over your decisions, but like, you were ensouled by God. So you owe your soul to God, right? Like you have to render that unto God. So like, yeah, render unto Caesar what is Caesar, but when your whole like, being and being made in God's image sort of thing kind of, it does like presuppose that there is like, yeah, like you're actually, your highest authority is God. So like anything first there, like, yeah, if there is like, I guess like a civil mandate that you have to follow now and then that doesn't come into conflict with that, like that's, yeah, you have to do that. But
one of the things I was talking to one of the other guys who's here at this
Yeah.
undisclosed location in the American South about was that there are kind of two types of crises facing us. There's the like first order stuff, which is like nothing fucking works.
Yep.
And this is a solvable problem. Like just stand up. You're drowning in a bathtub.
Yep.
Right? Like why do we have, infinity Haitians showing up in rural Ohio? Like that's a solvable problem. We don't have to live like this. But there's this kind of second order higher claims, which is why do we exist as people? Why do we exist as a society? What is the point? And modernity basically offers you a nursing home, right? The point of your life is to maximally prolong your existence and fill it with pleasurable things.
Yep.
And very clearly that's not an acceptable answer, right? People are by any measure miserable. But like, okay, let's take this back a little bit further. And it's like, well, if the purpose of your life, right, as a Christian is to become more like God, right, to basically enact his will, to enact the will of ultimate truth and order. Well, that has, to put it mildly, profound political implications.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like the whole goal is to get to heaven, and that usually is going to have a lot of conflict with what the current order is politically. So, I mean, yeah, I guess it's like kind of the reckoning America has to deal with. I've thought a lot about this. Obviously, the TradTards is a very satirical show by its nature, but when it comes to like serious thoughts about is there any inherent problems with America, we're such a interesting country where, in our basic founding documents, you can see that the very like essence of modernity, because we had some very forward thinking or progressive at the time founding fathers, right? And you can kind of see that obviously the very Enlightenment influenced documents that came out of that formed the basis of our legal code. But at the same time, we benefited from a huge amount of inertia from what was Western Christendom, and that inertia sustained us until reality came a knocking, when some of these things that were kind of embedded into our founding documents and thought are now kind of like coming home to roost, right? And that's like kind of been my whole thing. And I love America. Like, I've lived in America my whole life, but that is like the one thing as I've gotten more and more in depth into my faith. I'm like, damn, like some of these problems that we're facing now, like the left like constantly brings up like, oh, like all men are created equal, and yeah, we believe in the image of God. People have souls, right? There's like that basic thing there, but like when you start taking that implication where it's like this tabula rasa, like people like just like completely thinking like culture or like ethnicity like has like no play in that, and then look at like how our country actually was, right? It was a country, like the founding fathers said, like there'll be like no laws concerning religion or like mandating a state religion. They definitely did not think that there was going to be like massive amounts of what they would have just considered pagans like entering the United States anytime soon.
Well, and also, right, you have to understand this in the context of the fact that Europe had been rocked by several hundred years of absolutely horrible religious wars, right? Like the brutality of the 30 Years' War gives rise to the concept of like the sovereign nation state, right? The idea of war crimes. And to me, it's like, I don't agree with what they did, but given their limited information, they're like, well, we've seen what the opposite does, so let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
Now, I think we've run that experiment to the point where it's like, okay, that doesn't work. You can't blame them for trying. They're trying to come with something better.
Well, also too, they're probably thinking like, they're like, oh, finally this Christian infighting can end. They weren't thinking like, we're gonna have to deal with like just completely non-Christian religions in a big way.
Exactly.
Right. Like that was like not their thought. It was like, oh, having religious freedom is gonna solve Christian infighting. That was probably their main thought process there.
And the implication was very much, well, we are all English, generally speaking.
Yeah.
There are different religious sects in England, and we don't want them we don't want another English civil war.
Yep.
And I mean, you even see that in the sense that like states did have official state churches, right? I mean, there were blasphemy laws. And again, right, when we think of like the American consensus, I mean, even the kind of like bastardized post-war consensus after World War II, the assumed values in all of that was Christian.
Yep.
You know, it was sort of like a hallmark version of Christianity. So it was, you know, let's just say like maximally inoffensive. You know, if you know you're a Catholic, I'm a Protestant, we can both go to school together. They say a prayer at the beginning that doesn't offend anyone.
Yep.
Awesome. We can go from there. But the problem was, right, because it was so vague, because it was so open, it had no antibodies, right? And it got completely and totally subverted. And now, right, like again, going back to that idea that, you know, the separation of church and state is just an absolute farce. It's like, well, we still have, you know, religious institutions taught in school, right? If we take the Latin root religare, to bind together,
yeah,
right, that thing which kind of ties a society together, that there's still something there. It's just not anything that is, you know, recognizable to a small O Orthodox Christian.
Yeah. I mean, we could talk about this topic all night. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, but this is the like number one problem, I think. And America, like, finally having a reckoning with its like latent Christianity, which, you know, kept us sustained, and then now like facing the consequences of people who took these ideas in utero and trying to like completely like extrapolate that to like, okay, let's let in all the Haitians that eat the dogs, right? Like, this is like, that's where it was just like, oh yeah, no, this is good, like religious freedom, like totally, like let's not think about like any bit of like what was the intent here, right? It's just,
I'm gonna float an idea here.
All right,
we need to blame the French more.
Yeah,
because
we wouldn't be a country without them. So technically, all these problems are started by the French.
Yeah, we wouldn't have Haiti if it weren't for the French.
That's true. Well, they just like kind of gave up. They threw up their hands.
Yeah, but like, okay, the Dominican Republic is not great, but it's also not Haiti.
It's way better. Yeah,
They
fucking hate sharing that island.
Here's my point.
Huge East Coast, the original East Coast West Coast beef.
What's the common denominator? The French Revolution, Haiti, a third thing that I haven't thought of yet. It's the French.
Yeah.
You need to bring back freedom fries.
Man, that's the thing. They're like, we said this before we started recording. They're just on a constant like cringe based, like back and forth. Yeah, I mean, man, France. Have you ever been to France?
I have.
You have?
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. I'm joking.
It's so
I want to
visit.
I want to visit.
There were lots of, even when I went, which was probably 10 years ago.
No, I don't want to cut you off, but was it like I'm going to go visit Paris and like all that, or was it like I'm going to like France?
It was Paris.
Okay, gotcha.
It was full of people who did not seem French. I'll put it that way.
You know who the real Frenchmen are? The Quebecois.
Yeah.
This is why the French hate them.
Is Quebec just like hyperborea or Atlantis?
They were fucking cool. They used to be cool.
Here's my theory.
Yeah.
Leif Erikson, when he went to North America, secretly on a mission to reclaim the lost French tribes of Quebec.
So, you know, the whole Mormon, like the Indians were like, you know, Hebraic tribes. Like, no, actually,
the real Jews are Quebec.
Yeah, Quebecois. They were there from the get-go. Actually, you know, when the English came in and, you know, started to administer Canada, they found the Quebecois first.
Yeah.
And they completely created a completely alternate history around this. This also ties into the mud flood and Tartaria as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, it all comes together when you think about it. Yeah.
Have you ever been to French Canada?
I have not. So here's the thing about Quebec. Stepping back from the fun there for a minute. They used to be really fucking cool. Like, there actually was like outright integralists that were like operating there. They used to have very high birth rates. You know, everyone went to parochial school, right? And then they just became super gay. And now,
I didn't know they had church schools in Canada.
Yeah, they did. And Quebec was literally like because you have to remember, like, a lot of like dissidents went to Quebec if they couldn't hang out in France, and so a lot of those were like, oh, like half my family got fucked up in the Vendée, I'm going to the New World.
Yeah. Well, and a bunch of them that used to be in when I say Northern America to mean like Maine.
Acadia.
Yeah, Acadia got kicked down to Louisiana.
Yeah, and then became the Cajuns.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cajun music is fascinating.
The Cajun culture is just fucking insane.
Yeah.
Like, it's so,
You ever
like...
talked to a Cajun before?
No.
Incomprehensible.
Yeah, it's crazy. You know, everyone on the podcast, I've made this very clear on previous episodes, I'm in Virginia, right? But for me, when I've gone to... There's certain places in the Tidewater where you have, like, those people that speak the old dialects.
Yeah,
and
swamp people.
Yeah. Well, they're more like Bay people, like Tangier. Like, where they talk in this, like, crazy, like, they call it, like, high Toiter accent. Like, it's fucking wild. And, like, you can barely understand them. I imagine it's similar with the Cajuns. I mean, from what I've seen, whatever.
So, I've spent some time in Louisiana.
Okay.
A couple weeks. And I was helping a guy move. He got doxxed. People who know me know.
Yeah.
And we're helping him move into this place, fixing it up. So we need a ladder.
Yeah.
His neighbor, Cajun guy, has a ladder.
Uh-oh.
So we go over to borrow the ladder.
Yeah.
Have an incomprehensible conversation. I have no idea what the fuck he's saying.
Right. What did he say?
But apparently, what he was saying is translated from Cajun, or from Creole, was watch out for the mini horse. Not a pony, a mini horse.
Yeah, no, I know exactly. Yeah,
apparently is a different thing.
Miniature horses. Yeah,
And they're assholes, dude.
Yeah, dude, they're the most, like, prickish animals.
So we go over to this like fenced off area.
Yeah.
Pick up like a 30-foot ladder, and proceed to have a Marx Brothers skit. We are running with a 30-foot ladder away from a miniature horse while a man yells at us in like bastard swamp French. And I never got his name, never got anything from him, but he lent us a ladder. He's a nice guy.
Yeah, he says, watch out for the mini horse.
Very Catholic, I assume.
Yeah.
He had have you seen the Louisiana Mary shrines where they put a bathtub in the...
No.
This is a piece of Louisiana Catholic culture.
Okay.
Very devout.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, interesting enough, they don't have counties in Louisiana. They have
parishes. Yeah. Because, based on the parish churches. Yeah.
Exactly. And so what they do is, and I don't understand the mechanics of shrines here, and neither do they, I think.
Yeah.
Is they get a bathtub, they bury half the bathtub.
Yep.
So it's sort of a little
alcove.
Yeah. And they put a painted statue to the Virgin in there.
Mm-hmm. Based.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's like
they're doing a lot with a little.
Yeah, I mean that's pretty smart. I mean, the Germans have those very, very nice little shrines, especially in Bavaria. It's a very common sight, like roadside shrines. Mainly, I think that the idea was to service pilgrims. Mm-hmm. So you're walking like super fucking far, like 300 miles, just to go to one cathedral, like once in your life. Yeah. Because going to the Holy Land just is like not an option anymore. And you have those little shrines that you can stop at and pray. Yeah, that's an interesting holdover, I guess, if that's what they do down there. I mean, that's what's more interesting is they just have like an excess of bathtubs. They can just throw them out. They're just like, this bathtub's fucked. Turn it into a shrine.
I don't know. I don't understand it. I've seen it. It was more of like a anthropological observation. Yeah, I can't really explain it.
We've talked about Southern Catholicism a lot on the pod. And that was actually one of the topics of the first episode. My buddy who's out of Georgia, and I mean, being a Catholic in the South, which has been my experience, has always been really interesting. But what say you about Southern Catholics? I'm interested to hear your perspective.
So, I have limited experience, right? I live in kind of one of I live in a heavy evangelical area.
Yeah,
I mean, that's the culture.
Yeah, the South is, the Bible Belt, You know
where I live.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, I know some Catholics, and I know some Anglo-Catholics, right? Which is a very specific breed.
Well, yeah. Sometimes it's a misnomer.
Yeah.
It's a self-given title.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But I mean, there are some actually legitimate Anglo-Catholics.
Yeah, and these people are, quite devout from all outside appearances. So I know a little bit about that. Mm-hmm. I know a little bit about kind of Louisiana Catholic culture just from being there.
Yeah.
And then primarily my other exposure is just through literature, right? So I love Flannery O'Connor.
Yep.
Walker Percy, those cats. And so I'm not the best to speak on it. I think it's definitely extremely different from Northeastern Catholic culture.
Oh yeah.
Just because it's one, obviously in the Northeast, it's very much an ethnic thing.
Yep.
And I think that when we were talking off mic or maybe on Mike, I can't remember earlier, about the 80% of Catholics
Yeah.
that are just, flagrantly disregarding, kind of Orthodox theology there, is, let's be honest, those are pretty much Christmas, Easter folks.
Yeah, creasters, man. Submarine Catholics. There's so many nicknames for them.
Where it's like, okay, yeah, you grew up, you went to Catholic school, your grandma cares about it, but, fundamentally, you're basically just a rootless cosmopolitan.
Yeah.
And I don't say that, gloating, right? It'd be better if they weren't.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the South, because it's a minority movement and always been a minority movement, I think there's probably less of that. Just because if you didn't care, you wouldn't be here in the first place.
Yeah, exactly. Why even hold on to it if you didn't give a fuck about it, right? Because it serves
Exactly.
it literally helps you at none at
There's
all.
no social advantage to it. There's no, huge institutions.
People forget the O'Haras are Catholic in Gone with the Wind.
Huh.
That's always a crazy thing.
It's a really weird detail.
Because even in the movie, it shows them praying the rosary, which I don't even know, what the fuck, because obviously that movie was fucking huge when it came out.
Do you think that was Hays Code related, or?
No, I think it was just because it was in the book, because it's an Irish family,
Right.
and the O'Haras, and yeah, it was just a thing. Her father's straight up first gen Irish, and the movie shows that, and it just shows them praying the rosary, and I'm just I really wonder what it would be like to be in the theater there. I bet all the fucking Southern Catholics are hell yeah, let's fucking go, probably seeing that. But
everyone else sounds like, why did we let them?
Yeah, they're just it's yeah, but the rest of the movie just, I guess, made up for it for all the process that were
Fair
watching
enough.
it. Yeah, 3-hour epic.
Speaking of really long movies, have you ever seen Barry Lyndon?
I probably should, man, because I like Kubrick.
Barry Lyndon's really, really good.
Yeah.
Primarily notable for being all shot in natural light
Mm-hmm.
in period costume.
Well, that goes back. That also it ties into the whole Kubrick stage the moon landing thing, because he apparently had to get those low light lenses to shoot those scenes from NASA. So that's what they say is the NASA connection.
Here's my tinfoil hat conspiracy.
Oh.
Moon landing denialism is an anti-white.
Oh no, I agree.
Conspiracy.
I do think it's funny though. I think it's incredibly entertaining.
Yeah.
So, as a mental exercise, to be
My favorite conspiracy is Nation of Islam conspiracy.
dude, Yakub is real. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I know, it's great.
Papa Yakub.
Yeah, he blew up everyone with dynamite
Yeah.
on another planet, I think. I'm really fuzzy on the details there.
Good old big head out of Mecca. It was crazy. When I was down in Georgia, I was going through a very rough part of town in this city I was in. And Google decided to send me just through the fucking ghetto.
Mm-hmm.
It was the closest way back. Apparently, it would have saved me 1 minute. So Google's like, we obviously need to go this way.
If he dies, he dies.
Yeah, down Martin Luther King Boulevard I went, not thinking. And I'm like, oh fuck, I'm in the hood. Parts of it became the barrio based on the ethnic composition.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And then it went back to the hood.
They're
again.
Catholic though.
Yeah, they're Catholic. But I was driving through. This is a very interesting town. I won't name drop it, but it was a very interesting town. And I was driving through, and I see this sign, and it has a crescent moon on it, and I was like, wouldn't that be fucking hilarious if that was Nation of Islam? And sure enough, it fucking was.
Yeah, I was about to say
it was Nation of Islam chapter. I was like, what the fuck? And it was this small ass building.
You should apply.
I should apply. Yeah.
Walking into that meeting would be wild.
Do y'all let Yakubian apes into your meetings? I can teach you tricknology. I'm gonna spill the beans.
I'm a mole.
Am I invited to the cookout if I tell you how to tricknologize people? I want to know.
See, melanin means tricknology doesn't work on you. Well, no, I mean you can't use it.
Yeah.
So
Shit.
I did a little bit of a deep dive here.
Okay.
Basically, melanin is it's your soul. The more melanated you are, the more soul you have. And the reason
this is why they're good with soul music.
Exactly.
Damn.
Soul food.
Yeah.
And the reason why white people can use tricknology without becoming withered husks, much like the Emperor in Star Wars.
It's like mana. You only have
yeah. Because we're immune to it, we don't have melanin, so we can use the tricknology without immediate repercussions. Now, you may say, isn't bringing Star Wars lore into your religion kind of retarded?
I say it's pretty fucking awesome.
Exactly.
That makes it cool. If you're gonna believe some kooky shit, just fucking dial it up. Yeah, go to 11.
The Mormons, it's that's kind of boring. He split the difference there,
Damn. What we need to have Mormon and Nation of Islam discourse. When is this gonna? Someone needs to set this up. Joe Rogan.
That's my new religion is Mormon Nation of Islam syncretic theology.
Yeah,
It's
what if
like
they started agreeing? They're like,
Joseph
oh, fuck.
Smith, first son of Yaku.
Fuck. Oh no. Yeah, that could be a very dangerous. Could you imagine if blacks started embracing Mormonism in
They do.
mass? Really?
It's a big thing now. Yeah, because in the 70s, they decided they were allowed to let black people
Oh
in.
yeah, they had another revelation.
Yeah.
And they're like, it turns out, guys, we're not racist anymore. God changed his mind.
Damn shame. Yeah, but no, there's not a lot. But I mean, I've met.
No, like,
black Mormons.
imagine if, like, in mass, they're just like, guys, we need to stop with the Nation of Islam. We need to stop the Hebrew Israelite bullshit. We need to get on this Mormon shit.
Yeah.
And, like, Utah just becomes, like, majority black state. Like, Mississippi. Imagine if Mississippi became Mormon.
It was Mormons and shit.
Damn.
It's a great. We're theory.
This
crafting
is,
here.
this is amazing.
We're gonna remake America.
Yeah, this is, oh my gosh.
What are your goals? Incomprehensible.
Yeah.
But wouldn't it be funny?
It
if
would be
we made-
funny. It's like, why? Funny.
I mean, while we're talking, what other religious swaps would be funny? I think we need to. I think we need to make. I think we need to make Indians like dot. Indians.
Yeah, dot.
We just need to, like, I don't know, teach them like some bizarre like. We need to make them like Coptic or something, just to fuck the cops over.
What's funny is there is, like, apparently Thomas went to India, so there is, like, actual, like, very, like, Christian Indians that claim direct lineage to the Apostle Thomas.
That's really my official stance. That's great, but, like, if you're one of the apostles, you know it smelled crazy in there.
Thomas was, like, writing letters back. He's like, guys, this sucks ass.
It
Like, why?
so
What
bad.
did I do? Oh, he was the doubting one.
Yeah.
So that was like, hey, Thomas, we got a great new assignment for you. He's like, yeah, finally, I can make up for my wrongdoing. I doubted Christ, and they're like, we're sending you to India. And he's like, fuck.
That's why he was doubting. He was like, even these people, they smell
Yeah.
bad.
He's like, guys, I don't deserve this. I know I fucked up real big, and, like, it's immortalized in the Gospels that are being written right now, but I don't deserve it. Like, sorry, Thomas. We don't make the rules. Someone's got to go.
What's your favorite saint death? Martyrdom
favorite
is
saint
the correct
death?
term for that.
Yeah, what's my... What?
Take the Mishima pill, go St. Anthony.
Yeah. I mean, there's...
He probably likes St. Anthony for other reasons, but,
Yeah, I hate losing shit. St. Anthony, there's so many St. Anthony's, though.
the one that got shot with arrows.
That's St. Sebastian. He lived. He survived that. That was the big deal. He survived that. He was in great agony. And he got beheaded later. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest. My knowledge of Catholicism is not good.
It's all right. You're just like most Catholics, then.
Hey, look at that. I already got it.
Yeah, so this is why, like, I'm not opposed to having, and it's also just more interesting. Like I said earlier, like, if it was just, like, Catholics on here, it'd be really fucking boring. It would just be like, I mean, yeah, like, I never understood people who just want to completely surround themselves like sycophants. Like, I don't get it. Like,
Okay, I'll talk about Catholic things.
yeah, just Catholic. things.
Knights of Columbus, you can drink beer and have fish. That's what they do.
That's
You
not
can be cops in Boston, I think.
No, the Knights of Columbus. No, so the eating fish and drinking beer. That's just like normal Catholicism. Knights of Columbus was the answer to Masonic orgs because.
And from what I've heard, all they do is drink beer.
Well, no, they're just like old boomers that have pancake socials. That's like
Fair
their
enough.
big thing is that they offer life insurance to their members at a really good rate because they're so big and so many people pay in. I mean, what it started was the Masons just had a
I converted to Catholicism for the benefit.
yeah. Well, the thing is, the Masons had like a fucking monopoly on like being a fraternal org, and obviously Masonry is not liked by Catholicism because, well, there is a lot of let's say overlap between Enlightenment thinking and Masonic people.
De Maestro was a big anti-Mason.
Yeah, and it was a big deal. The church came out in a big way against them because like they just pretty much like, wait a minute, these people just like fucking suck and they hate us. And so it's just like, you cannot be a Mason and be a Catholic. If you ever meet a Catholic who's like, I'm a Freemason, they're actually a material heretic.
I know very little about Freemasonry, but I don't trust
That
it.
means their plan is working.
Yeah.
They don't want you to know.
Yeah, they seem suspicious.
I mean, like, so like at the lower level, they're just boomers, but it's just like, it would be like, I mean, I guess it would be like being a Catholic and being part of the later clan, right? It would just be like antithetical. Because
I know that they have a lot of stuff that's allegedly derived from like Babylonian
Yeah.
in scare quotes stuff.
To
like
put
King
it
Solomon.
to put it simply, Masonry is like white people wanted to have that Jewish like insider trading going on, and so they made Masonry to kind of like plug into that, because the main thing was, if you remember the Masons, all of a sudden you're plugged into this almost global network, like this almost like this international frat.
I got a great idea.
Yeah.
What if we started our own fraternal organization with a local chapter structure?
That was the idea of Knights of Columbus.
Yeah.
And there's this thing.
You guys
called
are good.
Yeah, this thing
You
called
need
the
a punch.
OGC. I hear about.
Who?
The OGC.
Never heard of them.
Crazy.
Yeah.
I hear it in hushed corners.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These rat bastards.
Yeah, crazy
All of them.
motherfuckers. Yeah, wild people. Wild people.
Do you know that no single member of the OGC has ever been beheaded?
So far.
So far.
There's a first time for everything.
Yeah, because no one's left yet.
Yeah, it's true. Here's the thing about Knights of Columbus, though, going back. They used to be so fucking cool. Like, they sent guns to the Cristeros. They tried sending guns to the Cristeros during the Cristero War in Mexico. Are you aware of? Yeah. They were like, we're doing a drive. We're gonna send a fuckload of arms to these guys because they're our brothers. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
They don't do that shit no more. Like,
yeah, if they did arms running and pancake socials.
Oh my god.
I'd be Catholic tomorrow.
Yeah, I'd be all over that shit. I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, what? Catholicism, like, book-wise, is so fucking cool. And then you go to, like, your average parish, and it's just, like, the gayest shit ever.
I have a major bone to pick with Catholics.
Join the club.
Not, when I say this, I'm not talking in historical context.
Yeah.
I'm talking in a day-to-day context.
Oh, yeah, dude, they're crazy. So many Catholics are
music
crazy.
sucks.
Well, like, modern Catholic music? Yeah, I'm about to say.
It's all ass.
Yeah, dude, it sucks ass. I had to deal with that. Dude, growing up in Nova Sordo,
it's rough.
Trying to, like... I had to, like, try to force... There was a time where I was very active in the youth groups. I was, like, working to do, like, retreats and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I was always forced to, like, well, we need to have, like, a song to go with your talk. And I'm like, I don't listen to any of this shit. Yeah. It sucks ass. Because it's an affront to music.
To quote the great Hank Hill, you're not making Christianity cooler, you're making rock and roll worse.
Yeah. Wow. Hank Hill. But yeah, I mean... that'll be the second time we've quoted that on the show. American Elitist quoted that on the last episode.
They probably fucking got it from me then.
Well, I mean, a lot of people have seen that.
Yeah, I know.
Thank goodness for Hank. It's
crazy.
crazy. What's crazy is, like, I think that show was not expected to do well. And then, like, it resonated because people were like, yeah, these people are funny because it's, like, almost reminds me of people I know.
Well, Mike Judge, he's an interesting fellow, right? Because he's not in the Hollywood Masons, if you catch my drift.
He's not at the Diddy parties.
Yeah. And he's...
Animators don't get invited to the Diddy parties.
Yeah. Like, he's from a, like, should we say, heritage American background.
Yeah.
And also, there's kind of a base through line in a lot of his stuff. Like, Idiocracy is the other movie. And libtards really liked Idiocracy when it came out because they were...
I'm the smart one, obviously.
Yeah. It was them making fun of, like, Flyover America. But that movie, with kind of current trends in America, you watch it again and you're like, oh, I see what you're doing. You just had to cast, like, rednecks in it because that was the only way you could make it in, like, 2008
What's
or whatever.
crazy is when I watched it, it seemed that a lot of the people were just, like, ugly shades of brown. Yeah. Like, I was like, it's funny, but I like it a lot because I think Idiocracy is one of those dystopian movies where it doesn't make the dystopia look cool in a way.
Yeah.
Like, 1984 has, like, this brutalist aesthetic, which, like, kind of a vibe, right? Like... I got it, like, the whole Ingsoc thing, like, looks cool.
Yeah.
Like, it looks cool. Yeah, like, obviously, like, yeah, it's, like, burnt out, like, London or whatever, but it looks kind of cool. Yeah. Like, it's, like, Soviet aesthetic. And then you got, like...
Soviets had drip.
They did have drip. They didn't have food, but they had drip.
That's all that matters.
Yeah.
It's drip or drown.
Drip or drown. And, and, like, Idiocracy is one of those movies where it didn't make the dystopia look fun. Like, think of Blade Runner.
Yeah, Blade Runner looks cool.
It looks fucking awesome, even though it's, like, supposed to be, like, the worst, like, environmental, like, disaster, like, world ever, but it looks fucking awesome.
Well, and I think that's... Yeah, there's a good point there. And it's also, like... I think it's interesting that... And this is a common conceit in sci-fi.
Yeah.
And it's basically that the future will be... We have cracked energy. So we have, like, flying cars and laser guns.
Yeah.
But, like, information technology is the same. So it's like Star Wars. It's like everyone has CRTs and faster than light travel.
Yeah.
Whereas the actual future is you have a Skinner box in your pocket that can show you, like, unlimited like Chinese propaganda and porn,
Yeah.
but you still drive a shitty car to work every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's like
We can't even get fucking compact trucks no more because of the EPA.
I know. And so my point is,
Give me
it's
my
like,
2024 Ford Ranger that isn't a shitty fucking mid-sized truck. Fuck you, Ford. Fuck EPA. I'm sorry.
no,
I have to go to
I'm
the
with
side
you.
there.
You know what? I think we don't hate Obama enough for what he did to cars.
Obama fucked up the cars, and his wife fucked up the school lunches.
It's true.
He was just like the no fun guy.
Yeah, I know, really.
And he just had this smooth baritone that just lulled the whole country into his fucking grip.
But when you say he had a baritone, are you talking about Michelle or?
Well, who do you think he learned it from?
Yeah.
He came back and he's like, Barry, you're being a fucking bitch out there, all right? Like, God, I was in the gym doing fucking pec flies today, and you're out here looking like a little bitch ass nigga.
Yep.
Get your shit together, gargle some fucking liquor, get that voice deeper, bitch, and oil up later.
Put some bass in your
Put some
voice.
bass in your. Need to get Michelle's back routine.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. What fucking splits is he doing? Mr. Michael Obama. Big Mike. Big Mike's
A kill for
I would fucking go to a gym that was started by Michelle Obama.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah, I'd be like, fuck.
Get a back like that?
Yeah.
She's
God
not
damn.
natural. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe.
Is Michelle Obama on trend?
When you're the first lady or first supposed lady, you can probably get access to all like the fucking adrenochrome fucking T boosters or
I
whatever.
mean, you know Nancy Reagan was just pinning like mad amounts of test. There's a really awful there's like a BuzzFeed or like
God.
Huffington Post article, and it featured the phrase Nancy Reagan throat goat in it.
That's the first they'll be on this show. But yeah, no, that.
You don't have to have me back on.
Speaking of Reagan, what a fuck. Overrated.
Yeah, I'm
dipshit.
with you on that.
Yeah.
Because he turned California blue.
Mm-hmm.
He banned machine guns, which was not very cash money of him.
Very, very gay.
He also decriminalized being gay in public schools in California, and look how that turned out for him.
Yeah. I mean, the only he was an actor. That was it.
Yeah.
He just was like, he had the charisma, and I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, it goes a long way in actually making people like feel good about the country. If you have like a charismatic leader, they don't like policy-wise, they can be pretty shitty. But if they make you feel at ease and make you feel like things are going well, that actually will have some trickle-down effects.
So you're a committed Catholic.
Yeah.
How excited are you to live under the first Catholic president in your lifetime?
Oh, dude, it's been so great. Well, you have to remember, under Biden, Roe versus Wade got overturned.
All according to plan.
Yeah, and O.J. Simpson died. So, like, I'm just saying. It's been incredible.
Yeah, the Knicks are in control.
Yeah. It's been incredible.
I haven't heard that argument, but you know what? I stand for it.
Have you seen Excalibur?
No.
Oh, man. Now we went from Michael Obama to Reagan to Arthurian legends on the big screen. This is it's the most 80s fucking movie.
Yeah.
And I mean that in, like, the dark fantasy. Like, it's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And it has a huge amount of, like, British actors in it. That
all
are, like,
all
well
I'm
known.
saying is, if Michelle Obama was the lady in the lake, ain't no way they would have got that sword. Her grip strength,
Take it out of my cold dead hands.
just like a ripped arm popped up.
Dude, Arthur would be fucking terrible. I'd be like, I ain't going in there. I ain't taking that shit.
One, why is she light? Why is she black?
Yeah. What is that thing?
It is England. It is 800 AD. I've never seen someone tanner than.
Well, I mean, part of they had that dude that was green, so maybe they'd be like, okay, whatever, black person. We already had a green person.
Fair enough.
With
It's not a huge,
the Green Knight.
Speaking of, did you see that A24 film?
Oh, they had the fucking Indian Knights.
Yeah, it was super subversive. Like, not just that, but like the whole like.
Didn't they change it up? They changed.
They basically made it into a nihilist story. Like, where basically he literally didn't have to do it. They subverted the whole honor of it. And sorry to just talk about degenerate sexual practices over and over again, but it is relevant. There's like a very weird jerk-off scene in it that is extremely explicit and comes out of nowhere.
That's
I left the movie mad.
Isn't is the Lighthouse A24? Because that also had a weird jerk-off scene in it. Although I think that was more in line with the fact it's about frustrated dudes stuck on an island.
Yeah.
So I guess that was a little more in theme. But
this was just about Indians, so
not.
It was accurate, I guess.
Yeah, gosh.
That's my biggest question about Indians. How can you have so little testosterone and be so horny?
That's a fucking good question.
Yeah. Also, by the way, have you ever looked into Indian Olympic medalists?
No.
There are none of them.
Wait, what? In nothing? In
I
a
mean,
country
not,
that big?
Not literally none.
There's got to be in just terms of numbers
UVA.
alone. Yeah.
UVA outscored India.
That's crazy.
Norway has 10x the number of medals India.
Wait, you're telling me there ain't in that whole country of so many fucking
No!
people? There's
No!
not one dude who's just massive fucking jacked, ripped, second coming of Indo-Aryan supremacy. That's just not.
They had a wrestler,
Okay.
right, who's supposed to be their shoo-in. He missed weight by 18 pounds.
That's from what I understand, it's a kind of a common problem in wrestling.
18 pounds?
Okay, that's a lot.
Yeah, I know.
Wait, you just couldn't eat a shitload of curry and bulk up? They got some high protein
No, he was
meals.
over by 18 pounds.
Oh.
In which case, you could just eat a bunch of curry and clear it out.
Yeah, clear it out.
Nonetheless, I'm fascinated by that. Just because it's at a certain point, you're playing a math game. There are
Yeah.
1.5 billion of you. Surely some of you have
Now,
to be.
I will
good
say
at
that the
sports.
Chinese definitely have that on lock. Because
Yeah.
there's a Chinese kid who can do anything better than at least they're better in one thing than anyone in the world.
I've taken the Alex Jones pill. I think the Chinese are 100% using CRISPR and genetic engineering. I have no proof for this.
I think it might be just plausible that it's okay, they have a this Confucian and then Maoist thing going on. They can very easily just train one of their millions of little kids all right, you're just gonna be the one, you're the only thing you're doing your whole life, you're gonna be a gymnast. Either you're born and they're just gymnast. They do something they just they see how well the baby can fucking move, and they're just this is a gymnast right there.
Yeah, see, what they were doing is they were testing the babies at the hospital,
Yeah.
but they couldn't tell them apart. So
They got all mixed up. Fuck, which one was the gymnast
damn
again? All right, back to the drawing board. It's almost it's a Brave New World thing where they're well, if we're going with the CRISPR thing, then yeah, it's literally Brave New World. Where
Yeah.
It's they're they have all the test tubes. Yeah, these guys are gonna be the fucking toilet cleaners. These guys are gonna be the rocket scientists, and it's just from birth, you're complete
it's life path fixed.
Yeah. You've read Brave New World, right?
Mhm.
Yeah. I mean, I still love reading the opening scene. It's oh yeah, we keep these test tubes upside down so that way they're used to zero gravity and they become rocket pilots.
Well, one of my
It's such an
favorite-
analog way of explaining genetic modification. It's so funny.
Well, going back to our earlier conversation about birth control, right? The all of the women carry these little satchels.
the
And they
mouth-
call them the
Malthusian
Malthusian
belts.
Yeah, which is
Because it was just literally birth control pills in
Yeah.
in a cartridge belt. That was how it was set.
yeah, which is cool framing there. That's I will say, that book, great book,
Yeah.
horrible ending.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
the biggest cop out ever.
Yeah, it's so dumb. Yeah, I mean it is still a great book. It's a lot. I think it is better than 1984.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
And I like 1984 a lot. I love Orwell's prose, even though he was a cringy guy.
Yeah.
He was a big cringe guy. We're aware. We're almost done. Golly day.
Keep that in.
Yeah, I am. Don't worry. Mom, I'm recording my podcast right now.
We are at his mother's house. That was not a joke.
That was my mom. Everyone, ladies and gentlemen. That's totally my mom. I wish, but yeah.
Hi, I wish you were my mom.
I'm gonna go in there and tell him that. Hey, I wish you were my mom. He's gonna be, what the fuck? I'm going to bed.
That's a great. That, by the way, as far as first date,
Yeah.
hit her with that. I wish you were my mom. Can't resist it. Women love that.
Some women would probably respond very well to that, I feel. Some women would be all over that shit. Some would be the fuck? That'd be a big, you find out real quick what you're dealing with.
Yeah.
Response.
You kind of got to respect the just leading off with something that strong. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's a great sorting mechanism. You're all right, if we've got to a second date, you've already gotten over that hurdle.
Yeah. My main thing with my girlfriend, she can cook.
Mm.
That was a huge...
Yeah.
I dated a chick that could act just couldn't fucking cook.
It's rough. Dude.
And it was so off-putting. It took me out of it. I was this isn't...
My wife has never eaten something I've cooked,
Really?
which is beneficial to both of us.
Okay, gotcha.
She's a very good cook, and I can cook. probably the best distinction.
I'm just
there.
too lazy, man. I'm busy. I get home. I don't want to fucking cook. I just want to like put some shit in the microwave and eat it. Like,
Yeah.
that's the big thing.
I ate literally the same thing every day for almost 4 years.
Yeah, it works. It works.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not opposed. You know, if you give me a set of instructions and I have the ingredients, like, yeah, it's not hard. But it's just like that time commitment, and then like getting all those ingredients is like
Going to the grocery store, not a male activity. Hate it. Like, what the fuck? I'm supposed to find leeks? I don't know what a leek is.
it just is. Every time I go to like Walmart, it's a fucking horrible experience.
Green onion, apparently different than a scallion.
Yeah.
I can't tell the fucking difference. They're green.
Yeah. The one thing I hate, dude, it's not even that. It's just like I go to Walmart and like the people I see just make me depressed. I'm
I
just
get
like,
mad.
I need to get out of here. I'm like, I need to like get my one thing and like get to the self checkout and hopefully not get like, you know, it does that stupid thing where it's like you need to see an attendant. It's literally like idiocracy. Like I've been waiting for someone to fucking do this for me.
I got a great Walmart story, and we wrap this up.
Okay.
So, I have a weird work schedule, so oftentimes I'll go into Walmart at like 10 or 11 in the morning. It's convenient, right?
Old people hour.
Yeah, exactly. It's great.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and I hear like this like super high-pitched whizzing noise. What the fuck? I look around. There's a guy on an e-bike driving into the store. So he drives into the store, and he's obviously agitated. He's like gesticulating. And I look on the back of his bike, and he's got one of these Point Break style president masks on the back of his bike. And I'm like, oh no, I'm about to be here as a Walmart is kicked over. And, you know, as a good schizophrenic citizen, of course, I'm armed at all times. So like, am I about to shoot a crazy homeless guy in a mask? And it turns out, no, he was just mad because the pharmacy wouldn't give him his meds. And so logically, the conclusion when the pharmacy won't give you your meds is to drive your bike and cause chaos in the store with your electric like bicycle.
I mean, hey, if he got his meds, he probably wouldn't have done that.
That's
to his credit. Like,
my man's thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, thanks for having me on. This was a wide-ranging conversation.
This is really good. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, especially if you haven't seen, this is a great episode. So, I mean, if you want, you can go ahead and plug, you know, your socials, please.
Yeah, sure thing.
You know.
My primary output is the J.Burden Show, which you can find on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you listen to podcasts. It's an interview show. The concept isn't that advanced, but I've talked to a lot of your favorites around the right wing. American Elitist, who was on recently, I've talked to him a number of times. And man, I'll have to have you on. This is a really fun conversation.
No, this is awesome. Yeah, I'd love to be on there, dude, because I think that a lot of my audience would enjoy it, and I have a very small audience. So, I'd love to send them your way. And vice versa.
I'll give you a tip with an audience. You wanna cultivate an adversarial relationship with your audience, where you insult and belittle them, and they call you gay on the internet. And that's
dude,
the secret.
This has already happened because the number one comment I get is like,
Why
people,
are you gay?
No, unfortunately not. The number one comment I get,
about to be.
Yeah, the number one comment I get is like, "Stop cussing."
Oh yeah, I get that.
And
too.
I'm like, dude, it's called TradTards.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What did you expect?
Yeah.
Yeah, I get concerned emails from conservative school moms where they're like, "Stop swearing. My kids listen to this." And I'm like,
why are your kids listening to this?
This is a bigger indictment of you than it is of me.
It's like, I let my kids watch South Park and like the little cartoon characters were cussing. It's like, yeah.
It's on you, dog. And that's how I respond to everyone. It's on you, dog. And then they don't email me anymore.
Nice. But no, thank you for coming on. This was a great discussion. And for all the listeners out there, of course, follow me on the Telegram. That's going to be like the quickest way to get updates on when new content's coming out. We got the Instagram now too, which is doing good things. It's been boosted pretty recently by Mr. Pinesap. So thanks to him. Although I know we don't see eye to eye on everything. He's a cool guy. And yes, so check those socials out. And yeah, obviously subscribe to the YouTube channel here if you haven't already. Smash that like button with a fucking hammer and hit that bell or you're going to hell. Great way to end the episode. Thank you for coming on again. Thank you. Do appreciate it.